But now they have welcomed cameras into their world. They have taken America by storm, becoming nothing short of celebrities.
Hello and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. Today we are talking about Chapter 16 in the book Becoming Sister Wives. Chapter 16 falls in Part 4 of the book. Part 4 is titled Celebrity, and Chapter 16 was authored by Robyn Brown. If you're new here, we are in the final chapter of the book, so I'm going to go ahead and put a link on the screen up here, and it will take you to the playlist where there will be all of the videos I have made about the Becoming Sister Wives book. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about how Robyn feels about her celebrity status.
This is live TV. It's national TV. I just became a public polygamist. My life is different now.
Robyn starts out her chapter by writing about what it was like growing up in a polygamist family. The stories she shares are specifically about hiding the fact that they were polygamist. Growing up, none of her friends knew about her religion, and because she was the child of her father's second wife, he wasn't able to acknowledge them legally or publicly. She tells this story about a time that her father took her and her full biological siblings to the park with their mother. When her dad noticed one of his coworkers was nearby, he had to walk away from them, and Robyn said she understood why he had to do it, but this hurt her terribly. When Robyn was a kid, her family would hide their relationships the same way the Browns did. They would often refer to each other as being a different family member or an ex-wife. So they might refer to another sister wife as being the father's sister, or they would say it was the father's ex-wife and that they had remained amicable, so they were able to still spend time together. So they would lie about their relationships, much like the Browns did. Growing up, Robyn attended a large public school where majority of the students were LDS. The students and teachers would often make negative comments about the polygamists that were in their community. The students and teachers were comfortable doing this because they didn't realize that Robyn was growing up in a polygamist family. Most of the polygamists in their community were members of the FLDS and were easy to recognize. They were wearing old-fashioned clothes, and the women had very specific hairstyles that they all wore. So Robyn didn't look like the other polygamists in their community. Because Robyn didn't have the look of those FLDS members, no one assumed she was growing up in a polygamist household. But that didn't stop her from worrying. Robyn was terrified that people would uncover their lifestyle. Worrying about this created some issues. Robyn didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and the ones that she did have, she tried to keep at a distance. Robyn did have one friend that she got really close to. It was a girl named Danielle. They were best friends for many years, but it still took Robyn a long time to share with her that they were polygamist. Danielle was LDS and assumed that Robyn was too, and when Robyn told her that she had two mothers, Danielle began to cry and said, "I thought you were the perfect LDS family." Now, Danielle felt like she really didn't know Robyn. Most people who follow the LDS faith condemn polygamy and fundamentalism, so Danielle felt like polygamy was morally and spiritually wrong. Danielle eventually got over her shock and continued to be friends with Robyn. She even got close to Robyn's family and realized that the differences between them weren't actually that big. They're still friends, but they've had to agree to disagree when it comes to religion. In order to maintain their friendship, they stay away from hot-button topics. But Robyn says now it's an open, safe, and sweet relationship. Before I go on, I do want to stop and just throw out my opinion here. When I was reading the beginning of this and reading about how they would hide that they were polygamist and how her father couldn't acknowledge them legally or publicly, all I kept thinking was, I wonder how much of a role that played in Robyn and how she wanted Cody's time. You know, she says her kids have to see him. He has to be there. I wonder if that's in some ways a response of her feeling like she was hidden away and couldn't have as much of her dad's time as she wanted. I wonder if she was trying to make sure her kids not only had enough time, but maybe more time than the other kids, because she felt like her relationship with her dad wasn't what it should have been. But you guys can let me know what you think about that down in the comments. When Robyn got married the first time, she was the first wife. And even though they believed in the principle, they never reached a point where they were ready to take on a second wife. And I think it's a bit funny because Robyn says in the book, things were too rocky between us to consider a plural marriage. So she wouldn't let a second wife come into the family, or he wouldn't have a second wife because things were too rocky. But Robyn had no problem marrying Cody when he had multiple rocky relationships. When Robyn got married the first time, she was the first wife and there was nothing to hide. They just passed off as a young Mormon couple, but that changed when she started dating Cody. People would ask her about him and how many children he had, and she never knew how to answer. She didn't know if she should say that he just had one child because that's how many he had with Mary, or if she should say that he had 13 because that's how many he had with all of his wives. She knew it would shock people to hear that he had 13 kids and they may ask questions, so she didn't know what to do. Here is my take on that. She should have said that he had 13 kids. If she wanted to lie about how many wives he had, she could lie about that. She could say, yeah, he has 13 kids. Oh, they just had a lot of kids, one wife. They're like the Duggars. I don't think they should have been hiding the kids. But here's the problem. 13 kids is a heck of a lot of kids. Whether you're with multiple women, one woman, that's a big number. So to me, the shock doesn't change. If you are married to one person and you say you have 13 kids, I'm going to be shocked. If you're with a bunch of women and say that you have 13 kids, I'm still going to be shocked. The shock doesn't go away with the number 13, whether or not there are wives or not. That's a big number. So I think she should have been honest. I don't think she should have been hiding the kids. If she's going to lie about something, she should lie about the wives. That's just my take. Again, in the comments, you guys can let me know what you think. When it came to hiding that they were polygamist, Robyn was always bothered by it. She says it's just not in her nature to lie and hide. It's not who she is. She's honest and outgoing, and she has no problem talking about what's going on in her life. But she felt like it was something that she had to do out of necessity. When Cody and Robyn began courting, he shared with her that there was a possibility of a show, but she didn't take it seriously. However, as the courtship continued, she realized the show was really happening. And she realized that if she married Cody, she was also agreeing to being on the show with them. This scared Robyn. She had been in a bad marriage, had a bad divorce, and just wanted a simple, happy life. Revealing their lifestyle on a show wasn't at all what she wanted. On the other hand, she loved the Brown family and believed she already received a testimony from God that Cody was her destiny, and she felt like this family was right for her, even with the show. As she continued courting Cody, she kept asking God if this was right for her, and she felt like it was. She felt like God was leading her down this path. Robyn writes in the book, "I did consider not marrying Cody because of the show." She's really adamant that she was just wanting simplicity. And I'm going to be honest, I'm sure a lot of this is her trying to defend herself because there have been so many accusations that she joined the family because of the show. I do have to wonder, though, if she was wanting simplicity, why would she consider being a fourth wife in a family with that many kids? There's nothing simple about sharing a husband. So I'm not sure what I believe when it comes to her motives, but I do think she was trying to defend herself when she was writing it. I feel like she was trying to let us all know that she saw the show as an obstacle and not something positive when it came to marrying him. Ultimately, she decided to do the show and continue to court Cody and, of course, marry him. When it came time to tell her family about the show, their responses were very negative. Most of Mary, Janelle, and Christine's families came around to the idea of the show as long as they weren't on it, but Robyn's family thought it was wrong and sacrilegious. They thought it was a mistake. Robyn was naive about what it would be like to be on the show, and she admits that she didn't consider everything that would happen. She didn't consider that when she went on the show, it wasn't just the Browns that were being exposed, but she would also be exposing her family. When you watch the first few seasons, she talks about what it was like growing up in a polygamist household. When she does that, she is then exposing her whole family. Anyone that recognized her and knew her mom and dad would then know that they were polygamist. So everyone would know her moms, dads, and siblings were all linked to polygamy. And this was really upsetting for some of her siblings that were still in high school. Robyn's mother struggled the most with the show. She wasn't ready to be open about her lifestyle, and at the time of writing this book, her mother would block her post on Facebook. She worried about Robyn's kids, and she believed that Robyn was putting them in harm's way. She thought Robyn was being irresponsible by being on the show, and this put a strain on their relationship. Robyn thinks a lot of her mom's feelings are because of her experience converting to their faith. Robyn's mom had grown up LDS and didn't convert until she was a young adult. A lot of her family did not have positive feelings about the conversion, and as a result, she was always very careful about talking to others about her faith and lifestyle. Robyn hopes the show will make it easier for her mom to live openly. At the time of writing this book, there had already been some positive changes for her mom. When the show aired, some of those relatives who didn't think she should have converted watched the show and saw the lifestyle that the Browns were living and decided that it was more acceptable than they had previously thought, and they began to be a bit more open with her mother. Robyn's mother now feels more accepted by her own family. It wasn't just Robyn's mother that saw positive changes from the show. It was Robyn's dad as well. He originally had opposed the idea of Robyn being on Sister Wives. He just didn't think it was a good idea, and he was worried about what the outcome would be for her. But as time went on, he got more comfortable with it and actually was okay with being filmed for the show right then in season 1. So he was filmed dancing with her at her wedding. And by doing that, he was acknowledging publicly that he was a polygamist and Robyn was his child. So this was a huge change for him, and he is the one that most recognizes the positive benefits of the show. You know, at least in her extended family, he is the one that is most willing to say the show had a positive outcome for them. As the show aired, the Browns were recognized more and more in public, and Robyn says some of her family didn't like that, both because it exposed them as being polygamist and because some of them just didn't like the attention that came with it. So she says some of her family, would try to stay away from her when they were in public. And she tells a story about how she went to her sister's graduation, and her and Cody tried to keep their heads down so that people wouldn't recognize them, but it didn't work. And she says she felt awful because it was drawing attention away from her sister. Robyn does say that even though some of her brothers and sisters were embarrassed by what happened at the graduation, her sister was actually very excited because most of the people that were wanting to talk to them and get pictures with them were being supportive of them being polygamist. So this was something that her sister actually liked. Robyn moves from talking about her family to talking about being on the show and the things she dreams about doing in her life. She said before she met Cody, she was at one of the lowest points in her life, and she made a list of things she dreamed of doing, and she said she let herself dream as big as she possibly could. So on her list, she had wrote, change the world, meet Oprah, write a bestseller, own a business. She writes in the book, I look back on that now and think, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. And then it may be something you don't want. Robyn says she can never underestimate the positive impact of the show, but there are days that she thinks that she just doesn't want to do it anymore. One of the negative things about being on a show is how the fans perceive you. And because Robyn's courtship with Cody was aired on the show during the first season, many people cast her as a homewrecker. They thought that she was out to destroy the marriages Cody already had. She says that she tries to avoid all of the online commentary, but sometimes it's just impossible. Now I'm going to read this next part directly from the book. This is what Robyn writes. People believe I have an ulterior motive, that I want Cody to myself, and not because I love the family or my sister wives. People believe I'm manipulative and conniving. I usually place last in the favorite sister wife poll. I have a question for you guys. What would it take to keep you on the show if you were Robyn Brown? Would you have stuck around for 18 seasons if you felt like you were being portrayed as the villain in season 1? I don't think what they're getting paid would keep me on the show. I would need Kardashian money to be on this show and be Robyn Brown, because I don't think I would have the mental strength and emotional strength to deal with what people were saying about me, because people talk really, really bad about Robyn, and then they give her kids a hard time as well. I don't think I could do it. I don't think TLC is paying the money that I would need. It would have to be a lot more than the Browns make. What do you think motivates her? Do you think it is that paycheck? Do you think Cody tells her that she needs to do it? What do you think it is? What would you guys need to stay on the show for that long? Robyn writes that she tells the producer that he needs to tread lightly when it comes to certain topics because they don't want to give America's women another reason to hate her. She also blames the camera in the show for a lot of things that have happened. She talks about how the couch sessions became an issue because the audience, has a lot to say about what happens during those couch sessions. She also says that everyone seems to want to comment on their wedding, on the reception, on the honeymoon, on the fact that Cody picked out her dress, and the fact that they kissed during their engagement. She says the show cheapened the wedding and courtship, and she felt like there wasn't much left for her. On the other hand, Robyn says the show has been a blessing because not many plural wives could court, marry, and spend time with their husbands the way that she has been able to, and it's all happened because of the show. At the time of writing this book, Robyn says more and more people were recognizing her out in public. She doesn't feel comfortable being called a celebrity, but she does enjoy all of the support that they receive. She loves it when someone identifies their family and can realize that they actually have something in common with polygamists. Earlier, I mentioned that Robyn had a list of things she wanted to do in life, and one of the things on the list is that she wants to change the world. She says in the book she thinks she's going to be able to do that because she believes the show is doing just that. It's changing the world by helping people understand different relationships and become more open and more tolerant. She hopes that the show will help people realize that every adult should be able to love who they want to love. Another thing on that list was that she wanted to meet Oprah, and she was able to do that because of the show. They were booked to go on the Oprah show, and Robyn was so excited. When Robyn was at her lowest point in her life, married to her first husband, and feeling her absolute worst, she would watch Oprah in the afternoons. She thought the studio looked warm and inviting. She liked Oprah's personality, and she just wanted to get to go and meet Oprah and be on the show one day. And so when she did it, she had a set of expectations about what it would be like. Robyn says it didn't go as she had expected. She says the studio wasn't as warm and inviting as it appeared on TV. She actually writes in the book, I realized the magic I had watched on TV wasn't real. So the studio and the experience wasn't really what she expected, but she says that Oprah was very humble and sweet. So she really liked Oprah, but she does admit that even that expectation wasn't met. It wasn't quite what she had expected. She says that she realized that she had made Oprah into some sort of demigod, and in reality, Oprah is just like everyone else. She's just a human. So I think for Robyn, she had really placed this experience as being something amazing, bigger than it was going to be, very unrealistic expectation, and then it wasn't that. This makes me think of that saying, you don't ever want to meet your hero. I think you can really make a person be more than they are, but she's very kind. This is not something where she's talking bad about Oprah. I do want to stress that. She's just saying her expectations were unusually high, so when she got there, it wasn't what she had thought it would be. We're at the end of the chapter, and Robyn finishes it by writing, What matters to me when the dust settles and the lights are turned off is what mattered before all of this started. My family, my faith, my love, and my responsibility to myself and others. So that is the final chapter. It's written by Robyn. There is an epilogue that Cody authored, so I'm going to do one more video, and that will be it for Becoming Sister Wives. If you haven't already, I hope you'll click like and subscribe. If you have anything you want to say about this chapter or about the book, I hope you will leave a comment down below. And I hope you'll come back to Happily Ever Reality.